Early stage, I mean, I think you're just trying to survive. You're trying to find somebody to buy whatever you're selling. And I think you can have maybe a number in the back of your head, but ultimately you just kind of want to make it to the next pay period. If you have staff that you want to make payroll and you just kind of want to keep putting one foot in front of the other, slow growth. You don't necessarily want to, overcommit. But for getting to this point, it is a wildly different skill set. And it's actually something I see.
Welcome to 7 to 8, our special series on 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. In this special series, I interview $1 million, some $10 million, and even some $1 million business owners who uncovered their twists and turns in their entrepreneurial adventure in order to help you to avoid the potholes and stick to the fast track. Welcome now to Center Stage, our next special guest. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I am here with my most amazing guest, Kevin. Kevin, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Michelle.
Awesome. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
So yeah, I'm what you might call a corporate cast-off or corporate burnout. I came to entrepreneurship a little bit late in life, if you want to call, your early 30s late. I certainly didn't grow up, trying to sell candy bars out of my locker or anything like that. But I always had kind of an idea that I was going to run my own company, own my own company, do my own thing. I remember saying that a bunch of times in my corporate career, and you'd think about, where are you going to be 10 years from now? It's like, I'd really like to be doing my own thing. I just didn't know what that was. And so the typical sort of trope for entrepreneurship, at least these days, is to talk about tech. And you're going to go raise a bunch of VC money. You're going to go build the next great unicorn app and do change the world and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really feel like that was a good fit for me. I didn't want to build the next dating app or social media platform. I wanted to I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to have stable income, and that's difficult to do in an early stage startup. So one of the things that got me interested in the field I'm in now, or the sort of, I guess, flavor of entrepreneurship I'm in now, was reading a book called the Harvard Business Review Guide to Buying Small Businesses, which is a very SEO friendly title. And but I'll tell you what, I remember reading that book that was published in 2017. I read it in 2018, and there's a story in it specifically about a guy who goes and buys a porta potty business. And I remember reading that and thinking, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to go and buy an existing cash flowing business that's been around for a while, that's very durable, that I could take a loan and purchase, raise some money, and go and get and run it as the day-to-day operator. Rather than doing the 0 to 1 thing in a startup, I can kind of jump in and use my corporate operational chops that I've built over, a decade plus in my career, and put that to use in small business. So that's what I ended up doing. Bought a company in 2022, and then went through the whole capital raise process in order to raise, equity and debt. But the equity piece was the tricky piece, because it was so foreign to me, coming from a corporate background. I didn't come from finance. I'm not an investment banker or private equity analyst or anything like that. So I didn't know how to do it. It's kind of scary. And going through that whole process, I learned I really liked it. Having kind of conversations with these investors and talking about what I wanted to do, and so it became a problem that I wanted to solve for other entrepreneurs and for investors who were looking into the asset class that we're in, which is, boring businesses between $1 million and $2 million in EBITDA, stable, cash flowing, sweaty businesses. So we're able now to write larger equity checks into these businesses and then raise capital from LPs to kind of make that transition easier for anybody coming from a corporate background who has the entrepreneurship itch, but doesn't necessarily want to start at square one.
Nice, I love it. So your businesses now, is your primary business the buying and selling of equities, or do you have kind of bricks and mortars or anything else on the side?
Yeah, so I own a textile company. I bought a business in North Carolina. It's a textile firm, and we sell drapery and upholstery to the trade. We do all the design in-house, and then we outsource manufacturing overseas. It's very difficult to weave stateside these days. But I'm the day-to-day operator of the business. I'm the CEO. I'm in the office right now. In fact, I've got some some suppliers in the room next door that I'm going to go visit with after I talk to you. So I sort of split my time between doing, this, which is the bread and butter, and then working with my partners on the fund to help other people be able to do the same thing, and then place capital for investors to get, a return on their money.
So what to you is the advantage to going to, because this is a lot of work. That's a lot of work to go and help business owners to in acquisitions, especially to educate them on it. Like, you're not just going to businesses that are notoriously doing this and going, yeah, we do that every quarter.
Right.
And there are businesses that do that. So what would possess you to go and educate the masses on this? I mean, kudos to you, but
I think it's well. First of all, I appreciate that that you certainly recognize that it's not an easy task or something that's kind of something you can put on autopilot. It definitely isn't. Looking forward to when I get to take a brief vacation, hopefully at the end of this month.
nice.
But look, it's because I feel so strongly about the methodology that we use to acquire and the tools that we use to acquire. I do not know of a better way, and I've looked, to climb up the economic ladder um, than utilizing a debt program like from the SBA, the Small Business Association, Small Business Administration, SBA, government-backed program, that you're able to go to these lenders, and they're basically government guaranteed loans that you can use to acquire a business. So you're using government assistance. And then you're using capitalist investors who are interested in a return on their money. And I think that's a very uniquely American thing, that we have a government and a system in place that, if you can bet on yourself and you can go take a loan and you can go buy a business, and, it's up to you to obviously do the due diligence in the bank and make sure that the whole deal is solid enough to be able to repay the debt. But I don't know of another way to basically bet on yourself and build equity over time by paying back that note, returning capital for investors. It just is, it's kind of like a secret unlock to be able to increase your wealth, to build economic security for you and your family. And I think a lot of people in my generation, especially after COVID, we've kind of been looking around, we're like, is this it? Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my career? Do I want to be doing this in 20 years? And this is the first time in my life where I can say, yeah, I want to be doing this in 20 years. I'll do this until I die. I love what I do. So it is a ton of work, but I'm incredibly passionate about it. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for aspiring entrepreneurs or people who have that bent to them, but don't want to start, like I said, at square one. And then as an investor, you get access to an asset class that we're targeting 25% IRR. Very good returns for these lower middle market businesses, because there's so much of the efficiency, the inefficiency that has been squeezed out of the market at the upper end, that people have to come down market to kind of where we are, where it used to be more of the Wild West, and now it's being professionalized a little more. So that will obviously happen at this level too, but there's decades before that becomes a thing, before the getting is not as good, so to speak.
So before we get into the mistakes that people make, talk to me about having that team, of having you guys, having the banks, having the capital investors. Like, it sounds like everybody's got a vested interest in making this work, which sounds like kind of euphoric.
Kind of like, holding your hand and saying kumbaya.
Yeah.
The whole team is so critical, and we've got awesome relationships with SBA lenders, with debt brokers, with obviously our LPs, and it really does kind of take a village. And this is sort of the I'm gonna, at the risk of screwing up the proverb, it's something like, if you wanna go far, you go together. And that's really how we feel. Like, in order to actually get this thing done, to get the deal across the finish line, it takes a village. And so every member of our team, and we use different service providers and everything. We don't lock anybody into anything. We just have referrals. And they're friends of ours. They become friends over time.
Nice. Well, and I think the biggest thing that people can kind of equate it to, the biggest thing that they're going to pay in their life is their house. for the most part. And then when they go into this, it's like, oh, okay, I need a little bit more help here. I'm going places I have no clue where I'm going.
I compare it actually frequently to housing because people understand that a mortgage is something you put on a house and then you can build equity over time, right? You're basically, you're getting an asset and putting your personal guarantee on the paper, and you're repaying that interest and principal over time. SBA loans the same thing. It's like any loan, right? Like you're going in, you're buying an asset. You're basically be able to get into a business that's much larger, that's much more established than anything that you could start tomorrow, and then build equity in that over time versus take a while to build up to that. And you may never get to $1 million in EBITDA. That's very few companies get there. So to be basically just cherry picking from those ranks, you're fortunate. Things are a lot of the mistakes have been made in the business, and believe me, you're going to come in, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. There's no shortage of mistakes, but the businesses are durable enough to be able to weather those. The ones that we obviously approve and everything that are they don't have too high of customer concentration. They're reoccurring revenue, things like that. Yeah.
Nice. So you are in a younger generation than I am. My generation is all looking at it going, okay, I've been through this bomb. I've been through that bomb. Bomb. It's like, okay, how many of these economic downturns can we handle in one lifetime? And is my retirement going to pay for it? So if they're looking at this as an alternative and going, okay, I got tons of experience, I know how to run a business, that's not the issue. But how long can I expect to be invested in this? Or are the sellers in that generation and they're looking for somebody in their 30s to be able to take over and take it for the long haul?
Yeah, that was my situation coming into my business, is that the owner, actually he and his investment group bought the business when he was 58, and then came in and basically told the staff that he's like, look, I'm planning to be here for 10 years. He buys at 58, like he kind of needs to sell before he's 70, right? So they knew he was kind of a transitionary owner. And they were looking for somebody like me to come in. In fact, he told me, he's like, look, we'd either hire somebody like you or we'd sell it to somebody like you. And frankly, it's a hell of a lot easier for them to manage, just to divest of the asset and let me, take the risk to do it versus hiring somebody, young to kind of come in. But a lot of people in that age bracket are looking to divest of their assets, to have a liquidity event. And it's the really kind of buzzy phrase is the silver tsunami, right? And a lot of that is there's like trillions of dollars of wealth are going to be transferred in the next decade. Some of that's true, but it's oftentimes overblown, right? Like a lot of those businesses aren't going to transfer. They're small shops. They're too key person dependent, too owner dependent. But there's still a lot of opportunity out there in the market. So I don't know if I answered all of your questions, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
Thanks. I love it. I do have a tendency to throw like 28 questions at you and go answer whichever one you want. So it's all good.
Best I can. Yeah.
So in your experience with this, have you noticed that there are mistakes that people make, other than not going with you, obviously, but the mistakes that they're making beforehand, before they get to you?
As a buyer?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in fact, I'm about to head to a conference here in the next couple hours where we're training buyers, and it's all about specificity, and people kind of come into this and they just don't know what they don't know, and so they come in with a really wide scope, and then we try and teach them that you gotta really like niche this down, and so focus on a specific geography, or focus on a certain business size, or focus on a certain revenue or EBITDA level. That you have to be specific about at least one of those criteria in order to kind of dial in. Otherwise, you're going to be, the floodgates will be open. It'd almost be like if you went on Zillow or Redfin and then you're like, well, show me all the houses in the US. Like, okay, well, that's not a very effective search, right? Like you have to have your criteria kind of dialed in, All right, so okay, I want to be in the Charlotte metro area. I want a 4-bedroom house. I want, like I want to pay between this and this, right? Like that's the same kind of thing in looking for a business. You'd think it'd be obvious, but it's not,
Yeah.
because people are afraid they're going to miss something. And the truth is, like, it's just not worth your time to look at to review deals that you're not. I did this. I looked at a deal in South Dakota. Okay, I had no business in South Dakota. I wasn't going to school in South Dakota. I had no family in South Dakota. But I looked at a business in South Dakota because it met my EBITDA requirement. It was like, oh, it's above $1 million. It's doing this. And then I finally had to sit down and, I was like, am I really going to buy this? Like, am I going to move to South Dakota? Like, I don't have any reason to be there.
Mm.
So, I mean, I've made all those dumb mistakes. So we try and shorten the learning curve for people kind of coming through this. But specificity and criteria, not knowing what you want,
Mm.
is really key. And then a lot of times people come in and then they either think they know too much, that they are able to do all their due diligence on their own. They can write their own legal documents. They can, you'd be surprised at the level you'd be surprised at, maybe, I don't know if arrogance is the right word, but arrogance to kind of come and be like, oh, I can write this asset purchase agreement. Like, okay, or I'll just use this template and modify it. Use a real accountant, use a real attorney. It's worth what they cost because you're making a multi-million-dollar bet.
Right.
It's okay to spend, $20,000 ish, on some diligence. Like, it's worth it in the long run to make sure that you're protected.
Absolutely. Well, and I find too, to me, it's a fascinating arena because people are either completely oblivious of it or they're like, yeah, I swim in this arena every day. But the ones that are completely oblivious of it are like, it's like a kid in a candy shop going, I can do anything. It's like, yeah, you can. And it's kind of like setting your goals when you were younger and going, oh, I want a cabin and I want a boat and I want this, I want
Yeah.
that. And then you realize the cabin's got a sewer out back and the boat's got, anything with marine attached to it just automatically costs 3 times as much. And, it's the kind of those experiences that, that wisdom, like it comes with that experience of that's not really what you want to do. Not that
Yeah.
I'm against moving to South Dakota, but you really gotta, it's one of those things where you
Yeah,
really
there's
gotta think
reason,
hard
right? Like,
about it.
yeah, for sure. And like, there's I don't remember where the quote is from, but it's obviously parroting the famous JFK speech. But it's like, we didn't do this because it's easy, but because we thought it would be easy. I think everybody kind of comes in with that, and I think you need a little bit of that naivete to come in and do something like this. Like, you need to, if you know where all the bodies are buried and there's skeletons, and like, you're
Yeah.
more than likely going to be like, oh, it's not for me, it's
Yeah.
too much risk. But there's a kind of some value in not knowing what you don't know and just being open to the journey, knowing that you're going to take your lumps. You're going to pay, you're going to pay some idiot taxes, and you're going to do dumb things that's going to cost you. But in the long run, it'll be worth it. And you're going to learn a whole hell of a lot doing something like this than maybe sticking in your corporate job that, for, at least this wasn't for me. I was like, I hit a point where I just couldn't grow. I couldn't grow as fast as I wanted. I couldn't go in the directions I wanted. So this was something that's like, now I really get to be a generalist in doing something like this, which is something I've always enjoyed. I get to, I go from a, accounting and finance meeting to a strategy to marketing to, and you name it, you know this, and your audience knows this. Like, how many hats do you wear in a day? And it's all of them, right? Like, you're even though you have a team, you're sort of the executive for all of the functions, and ultimately the buck does stop with the owner.
Yep. At some point, you're the one that has to make the big decisions.
Yep.
Well, and so when you're looking at people who are coming into this, is there kind of any personality strength that is most appealing? I'm assuming it's curiosity or, kind of anticipation, but and that can be, I can describe a lot of things, but I think a lot of people think they have to be something in order to make this successful. Is that true, or is it really the curiosity and the excitement of it all?
Curiosity is a really great one, and I definitely think that underpins a lot of it. I think a willingness to put it delicately, like to grind through some of the stuff, like to be able to be willing to just grind through an enormously painful process, to I mean, I can say even something like this, like, My best days here are substantially better than ever any day I've ever had in corporate. My worst days are much worse. So you get much more volatile. Um, that's good and bad. But at the end of the day, it's your thing. It's your baby. And there's something that's really special about being in control of your own destiny, as much as any one person can be. So I think you have to have the desire to do that. I think you have to have that grit, curiosity, problem solver. Like you're not, I mean, look, when I came in here, we're doing all the accounting manually. They don't use QuickBooks. Everything was dumped out of an old ERP system in Excel. So if you're used to having a lot of access to information, like I was, that is a learning curve.
Mm.
And I mean, I can't tell you how many months I felt like I was flying blind because I don't have the reports.
You're like,
It
this is why
didn't.
they call it a ledger. I've never seen one of those before.
Well, I mean, I had a bit of a background, but like here
Books.
it was very much like the data was dumped out and we beat it with a hammer in
It's all
Excel.
handwritten.
It, it was one step above. One. Yeah. So I mean, those are significant, those are significant traits that you need. It's like just being able to deal with ambiguity and coming in and looking at the problem objectively and being able to not just solve the problem yourself, but to delegate and train up a team to, you're usually when you buy a business, you're buying, teammates and everything. And sometimes they've been involved in the process and sometimes they haven't. My business went from being from like a dictatorial founder, everything ran through his office. Then there's a transition where they got a little bit better, but they're still really going through one person to now where I'm putting a lot more on them because frankly, they know the business better than me. They've been here for 20 years, right? They should have accumulated some knowledge in that time. And so a lot of the decisions I've kind of flipped back on them. Say, well, what do you think? And then we kind of grow, we talk back and forth, and ultimately it's my call, but you got to be willing to bring other people to the party and sort of, because you can't do it alone. And you're coaching your team and growing that way.
Nice. Love it. Well, and I do think that entrepreneurs are kind of rebels of some sort, or they've got that rebelness in them going, I get it. I'm not going to know everything. And it is a tendering process. And as long as you can see it that way, then you go, okay, nobody knows the answers. But my job is to kind of curate and bring the right people together to kind of mix up the stew so that you can figure out what's
Right.
at the bottom,
Yeah.
if there's any good stuff in there.
Yeah.
And as long as you can maintain that on a bad day, then you're doing pretty darn good. Awesome. Yeah. Nice. So when it comes to kind of building and making $1 million business or 10 million, 100 million, however you want to put it, do you see it as a mindset going in, or like that there's something different about this entrepreneur than a lifestyle entrepreneur? Or is it just somebody with a different level of curiosity going, yeah, I just got a bigger lifestyle?
I think everybody kind of comes in early stage. I mean, I think you're just trying to survive. You're trying to find somebody to buy whatever you're selling. And I think you can have maybe a number in the back of your head, but ultimately you just kind of want to make it to the next pay period. If you have staff, if you want to make payroll and you just kind of want to keep putting one foot in front of the other, slow growth. You don't necessarily want to, overcommit. But for getting to this point, it is a wildly different skill set, and it's actually something I see with I spend quite a lot of time in my operating business, and then and just part of the fund. I'd speak with a ton of business owners, and one of the things in my industry right now is I see, and it's not unique to my industry. There's lots of people in their 60s and 70s who are looking to retire, and they find out what I do, and so then they ask questions, right? And invariably it's the people that started the business that are looking to sell now. They've grown an awesome lifestyle business, but it is a specific lifestyle and it revolves around them. They are the sun around which everything else orbits. And I think that's a specific individual. And it makes sense growing from 0 to 1 why you would kind of continue. You're comfortable with that. Like you've made every decision early on. You're the reason it got to where it is. You feel like you need to be, moving all the pieces around on the chessboard. But when you get to it almost takes a transition, either a new generation or a sale, or the rare individual that can make that mindset shift from I'm going to do everything and I'm going to be the critical key person to I need to have a team around me that I can delegate to and train up so that, I can be away for more than a few weeks at a time. That I'm not essential to the day to day. And that was one of the things I was talking to an owner in the same industry about a couple weeks ago. She built this awesome business, but it revolves around her. She was the straw that stirs the drink, and those are hard to sell because there's something unique and special about that person. So me coming in, buying my business, that's a larger business, uh, between $1 and $2 million in EBITDA. There is a team. They've gone through transition before, so they had a founder that was just like that. That was dictatorial, and everything was very close. Nothing went out of this office unless it came on this desk. That kind of, it has to be rubber stamped. It has to be. Then the transitionary founder, and then me now coming in as completely different mindset. Like, I need the team, and I'm going to build up the team. I'm going to empower them to be able to go do something. That's a completely different skill set. I don't know if I have the skill set of the founder. I don't know. I've never done it, but I know I've got these chops to operate the business as it is and to grow it to the next stage. So they are different skill sets. That doesn't mean they can't exist in the same person, but that individual I think is pretty rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and to me, it seems more intriguing to be able to, having built a ton of businesses that were kind of from startup to sellable, the whole idea of just taking over somebody else's existing business and being able to go, oh, okay, how do we look at this and see if there's any room for improvement, improve, new technologies, open concepts, well, getting more involvement from from the team that knows and understands what's going on already. And a lot of the big businesses have proven that that's actually a more effective way to grow to the Fortune 500 size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to.
Right, like you can't run a Fortune 500 dictating what's going on.
Right.
Not everything's going to go over your desk.
And small business owners would be good to take their cue from that. They understand. Hey, these people at least understand scale.
Yeah.
Despite some of the other stupid things that large companies do, they understand what it's like to be at scale, and you can apply some of those lessons to your own company.
So assuming we have that kind of person, they come in, they're looking at this. Is it, did it become the sacrificial lamb at some point going, oh, okay, this is way more than I expected? Or can they still expect to be able to have, I guess it's the lifestyle. There's this conundrum going on in my head of everybody expects, okay, I have a service-based business. I'm doing my thing. I go and watch my kids' soccer game. This is awesome. I leave. Can you do that when you're buying and acquiring businesses? Is there still the element of, I really need to take Friday off?
Boy, you're kind of hitting me where it hurts right now, because I wouldn't say I'm in that phase yet. I'm in the can't take a day off phase.
Okay.
I I absolutely think it's possible, and it also is going to be person dependent. Like, how
Absolutely.
insane are you? And so, I mean, look, I probably sometimes think I'm more important than I actually am. But yeah, I mean, I obviously can take, an afternoon or a day, or, I mean, I'm gone for a week at a time, traveling to customer sites or doing this. So it's the business can absolutely run without me. I'm not that integral, but, but yeah, I mean, I do think there's kind of a burn-in period. I think you need to, you're putting, seat time in for the first few years, especially if you want to make changes. Who's going to champion those changes if you're not there? It's hard to then, I've been talking a lot about the team. Well, the team will buy in, but you got to be there. I mean, they've been running fine without you. So you want to come in and make a bunch of changes. You better be there to, like, be the inspirational leader and help, coordinate everything and manage it, and all of, I mean, the team can help, but they're not going to be your change champions. They quite like the way things were. Thank you very much. So I think there is a period where you're kind of in the trenches, but then you need to, and I'm speaking to myself here, you need to put a date on the horizon. You're like, okay, by this date, I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to be in the office 2 days less, or I'm going to do, whatever it is. to start removing yourself uh, from all of the decisions, so the team gets used to talking to each other and getting answers versus just escalating right to the top, you know? So that's kind of how I feel about that right now. It's something I'm working through. I don't feel like I'm doing perfectly. I don't know that you ever do, but
I don't know
I'm
if
at
you ever
least
do.
very aware of it, and I recognize that this is the burn-in period. This is the get things right period. This is build infrastructure, build systems, build, and get ready to scale. Um, and hopefully, in the future, it's a little bit, less time dependent on me.
Well, I know you think you're on the kind of negative end of that scale, but I know there's a lot of people out there that just got super excited about everything you just said and went, yes, I want that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a ton
oh,
of fun. Look, I mean, like
right?
I said before, it's very volatile, up and down, but it's a period, right? It's a tough slog through it at first, but it'll be worth it at the end. You're doing something, you're building equity in a business, you own an asset that you wouldn't otherwise own if you had a regular 9 to 5. I still wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love it. So
Hated
in a
it.
moment, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story, but before I do that, we're going to go for a bit of break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I am super excited to hear about one of your Cinderella stories of one of your clients.
Yeah. So one of the first investments we made in our fund was in a towing company. And it's funny because if you look at our investment deck, everything kind of in there says, oh, we want asset light businesses, non-capex intensive, and you go out and invest in a towing company, which has a lot of capex in it. So those rules exist, but they're made to be broken sometimes. But in truth, like it did make a lot of sense when we were going through, and they had repairs on site, and they had this anyway. But the thing that was nice about this business is that the sponsor came in, young guy. He was in his late 20s, had just started a family, and had done private equity work previously. He'd been an analyst, but was more of a he was a real dude. Like he wasn't shirt and tie, being what you might think of as a typical finance bro. Um, and he came in, and one of the reasons we knew that it was the right investment was because he told us that he wanted to drive the tow truck in down Main Street for the parade. And to me, that indicates that gets it, that they want to invest back in the community, that they understand being in a service business in a local geography. You got to be able to invest back in the community, and your position in the community is very important. And you have a platform as a business owner in an area. So that actually, we ended up investing a little bit later in his brother, who bought a towing company not too far away. Well, guess what? They're going to roll them up together, and they've already got some offers from private equity to buy them out at a higher multiple than what they bought in for. So they've got this kind of deal on the table. Whether or not it goes through, who knows? But like, there's the interest right there. That you're able to buy in. I'm going to make these numbers up, right? Like a 4x, you can flip it to a 6x, and you, by combining the companies, you can get a higher multiple and all this. So it was, he didn't intend necessarily. I mean, he obviously had long-term intentions. He wanted to be part of the community, but like, then you have these opportunities that come across your desk, and it's like, okay, well, you really can't go wrong here. You can have an exit, and you can basically just flip the business, pocket the cash, and move on. Or you can do what you wanted to do from the beginning and just be part of the community. He hasn't made a decision yet or anything, but it's nice to have options.
Right? That's awesome. That is so nice to hear. And I can't wait to see pictures of him going down Main Street during the parade. So I know our listeners are going to want to hear more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
I'm pretty easy to find. My last name is there's not too many people named Bibelhausen. And if you go to my last name domain, bibelhausen.com, you can find me there. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. Like I said, if anybody's got my last name, they're related to me. And I'm at least fairly regularly posting on LinkedIn. I try to do it, a few times a week.
Nice. I love it. You have been absolutely awesome. Do get to ask you a question. You gave us a little hint at this before, but I would like to know, at what point in life did you know you're especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I was probably 28, and I had just
6 months
started.
before.
Not quite, but almost. A couple years. Yeah, and I was probably 28, and I had just gotten a new job, and I was there for, it was weeks, and I was already starting to look for businesses. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And it was just one of those like typical kind of office, like, gray cubicles. Like you go in there and it was right out of like The Office, or, any sort of those sitcoms. You're looking around, it's like, can I do this? And you see people retiring that they've been there for 20 something years. Like, I don't think so. And it just wasn't me. And so it was just so funny, because my parents were so proud of me, oh, you got this hospital job, super stable, you're able to, now you can, relax or whatever. I'm like, well, no, actually, I'm going to bail on all of this and do something else. So yeah, it wasn't, like I said, I don't have an entrepreneur story from the beginning of time, but I think that was the moment where you're just like, I know I need to do something else.
I love it. There's definitely a certain point where you think stability is awesome. This is going to be fantastic. And you realize nothing moves when it's safe.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
yeah.
No, I think I like
true.
open windows and doors, and we'll start with that and move on.
Yeah, very true.
Nice. I love it. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
No, I'm pretty easy to find. I'd love to hear from anybody, So if you're interested in this, and you want to buy a business, or you're interested in buying a business, feel free to reach out. And if you're an investor and you want to put capital passively into these businesses, happy to talk to you. We still got room in our first fund that's closing in the next 6 weeks. But we're going to open up another. It's been very successful. We raised ahead of schedule, so we're looking to do a second one with more room. So things are going very well. Happy to hear from you, or even if you just have business questions in general. I love hearing from the audiences that I get a chance to talk to.
I love it. Kevin, you've been absolutely awesome. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you for listening to 7 to 8. If you're interested in upping your speaking game, be sure to connect with our guests with the links in the show notes, and connect with me to see how we can help you get your tech done for you and help your speaking dreams come true.